And now I'm going to go into the hair. So for the hair, I'm planning on coloring her hair purple, just because I can. And with purple hair, you have to note that if it's just going to be purple, it's going to be kind of lame, where you just have it one color. It's going to be like coloring one of those geography maps that you color in class. So to make it more artistic looking or more interesting, work with different colors. Here, I put my crayola pencils, again, in these little baggies. And they're all different tones of purple. Use them all. Why not? And add some extra colors in there too. So these are my purples, and some of them are more like blue violets, while others are more like red violets. So since I have more in red violet, actually blue violet, something like that, I'm going to add some red and blue in here just because I can. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to stick with one color family, especially if you have cheap colored pencils. You can't do very smooth, buttery looking effects, so the more color you add, the more interesting it'll look. And honestly, I don't care about the graininess at all, so you shouldn't even bother with it either. So here's Pink Orchid in the Crazy Art line. I think I'll add a little of this one, which is Crazy Pink. Then as for blues, I'll probably go in maybe, let's see if I have any interesting Crayola blues over here. So I'm going to take out this violet. This is violet in the Crayola line. And then the sky blue. And I guess I'll take this bubbly blue here in Crazy Art. You don't have to follow my colors exactly. Just go with whatever you want. So let's say if you're doing green, the colors you would probably want to use are blue and yellow. So here's a color wheel. So on the color wheel, this is what I'm doing. I'm using colors, maybe skipping one. So here I'm using violet. So I'm going with red violet. I also have red violet in there. So you're using colors that are consecutive on the color wheel. So this is what I'm using. I'm using violet. I have some blue violet, so I'm using both of these here. I don't have a single violet. And then I'm using some blue and some red for added interesting effects. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to do this in time lapse. Okay, so here I added some black, and I know I'm probably contradicting myself, but whenever I say that you have to color lightly but with more layers, that kind of usually pertains to the base color, while the shadows, since I'm a cell shader person, I prefer that my shadows are dark and very distinguishable, I guess. So the only time you are allowed to really press hard is when you're doing shadows. But then again, you don't have to follow what I'm saying. So here I used black for extra depth. Other artists tend to shun using black, but honestly, I really don't care. I'm just gonna do what's easiest for me, because with these cheaper pencils, it's harder to find a really dark color in that color family, so make do with what you have. So I use blacks, but that's because purple is also more of a black type color. And now that I look at it, I don't think this is violet. Not sure. I'll look at it later. So anyways, I'm gonna go over this with deep plum. So at certain parts, as you can see, I just shaded wherever I believe there should be shadows. And at certain parts, the parts where there isn't a stark difference, I kind of pressed lighter and did that whole gradient technique I've been talking about. So now that all the shadows are in, now I'm just going to press lightly for the rest of the time. So now I'm just adding a little extra color here and there. There's not really a specific technique that I use other than just continuously coloring and adding more color. Okay, so all I did was I took two crayola pencils that were of similar colors. So I used Deep Plum, and then I used Mauve. These are all crayola again, and then Purple. And these are the red violets of the crayola, while this is the Deep Plum is the blue violet. So now we have a lot of warm tones in here. You can see the red violet throughout the hair. So now I'm going to be adding blue, and this is Sky Blue from Crayola. Okay, so here after I put in the blue, I added some pink orchid on top, which is just a rather pink color. It's nothing too special there. And then this is the finished look for the hair. So there are tones of purple, blue, and pink in here. So that adds for a little bit extra interestingness, pizzazz. I'm a bit low on vocab today, so pretty much all I can say. So now I'm just going to go over the eyes, and then I'll do the rest in time-lapse.